Hi, I'm Kim. Do you find quarter square triangles really confusing? Do you not know where to start with them? And would you like a very easy way to make them? Well, let me show you how to do exactly that in the tutorial today. So let me just switch camera so that you can see. And here we are with the one that was waving about in the air. So I'm going to show you how to make these two quarter square triangles. So this one is a very simple two color version. They are also called hourglass blocks, by the way. So this one is a very simple two color quarter square triangle, and this one has different colors in there that you might want to be including depending on your quilt pattern. So I'm going to show you how to make both of those. So let's start with the very simple two color version. So you're going to need to start with two squares. Now the sizes of the squares are going to be, so you need to cut your sizes 1 1/4 inches bigger than your finished quarter square triangle block. So this little block here is going to finish at 4 inches wide, 4 inches square. So I have cut my squares here to be 5 1/4 inches. So if you wanted a finish size of 6 inches square on your quarter square triangle block, then I would cut 7 1/4 inches. Okay, so that's just your rule that you need to scribble down somewhere. If you're making quarter square triangles, cut your initial squares 1 1/4 inches bigger than what you want to start with. So given that, I have just cut two squares here in my two colors. You can see there, I've got my sort of orangey color here and I've got my yellowy color here. So we're going to get those two squares, and then we're going to put them right sides together. And if you've been watching me for a little while, you'll know I've got a tutorial on how to make half square triangles. And I will put a link to that in the notes below here. And hopefully a link in this video somewhere that you can click and go and watch the half square triangles. But what we're going to do is the same process. So I'm going to get myself a ruler and I'm going to get myself a pencil here. I seem to have a pen, but bear with. I'm going to start by drawing a line from one diagonal corner to the other diagonal corner. Sorry, those have come out of camera shot a little bit. So this is just how you'd make a half square triangle. So from diagonal corner to diagonal corner, I'm going to draw myself a line down there. Okay, I've done it in pen so that you can see. Okay, and then I'm going to get it over to the machine and we're going to sew 1/4 inch either side of that line, or a scant 1/4 inch either side of that line. So I'm going to put this video on pause. I'm going to set up my sewing machine. I'm going to see you over there because we're going to do this together. So I will see you in a moment. All right, so we're at the machine and we're going to sew 1/4 inch either side of this center drawn line. So you're going to sew your two pieces of fabric right sides together. So let's get going here. I have just got a neutral thread in my machine. You probably don't need anything more extravagant than that. So this is my machine that's been set at 1/4 inch. Straight down there. If you're wondering why I've got a normal foot on, it's because I've got a computerized machine, and if you have two, if you look at your stitch width and set it to 5.5 and then just run a seam down the edge of your standard foot, you'll probably find it's 1/4 inch. So that's 1/4 inch there with that line against the edge of the foot. I'm going to turn that round and I'm going to sew exactly the same on the other side. Okay, so we're going straight down there. Same thing again, 1/4 inch all the way down. All right, so we've got like a little tram line effect. So let me switch cameras and I will show you what to do next. Okay, so here's our two squares that we've sewn together with our tram lines down the middle, and I'm going to take my rotary cutter. I'm going to cut along that center drawn line. Remember, I drew it in pen so that you can see. So this centre line here, you're going to be cutting along that. I don't know why this fabric looks creased. The camera seems to make it look more creased than it actually is. So we're going to get our ruler and we're cutting from diagonal corner to diagonal corner along that line. So let me get that all lined up and cut straight along there. So now we're going to have two essentially half square triangles. So if you get to that point, you're going to open these up and you're going to press to the dark side as you would normally. So what I do is I always start with the darker colour on top, and I press away and press that open so that the seam falls on the dark side. So I'm going to go and do that, and I'm going to meet you back here in just a moment and show you what to do next. Okay, so you've got your two half square triangle blocks, for want of a better description. And what we're going to do now is place one on top of the other, but we're going to turn it round. So we're going to have so in my case, I'm going to put the yellow on top of this orange, and I'm going to put the orange on top of the yellow. So place them right sides together with the opposing colours on top of each other. Can you see that? And I'm going to make sure that I've matched up this centre line perfectly. This is the bit you want to concern yourself about. Am I getting these seams perfectly butted up together all the way down? That's the bit I want to concentrate on. So I'm going to spend a minute or two just making sure that that sits perfectly all the way down. And if it does, I'm going to stick a couple of pins in it because I don't really want it to move. So let's get a couple of pins either side. And now we're going to do pretty much the same thing as before. So I'm going to get my ruler. I'm using a pen so you can see this, but for you I'd use a pencil. And I'm going to draw a line now from opposite corner to opposite corner going across that seam. Okay, so I'm going to go all the way down here. All right, can you see that? So all the way down, and we're going to do the same thing at the machine. So let's move over to the machine and let's stitch those together. All right, so back at the machine. So again, we're going to sew a quarter of an inch seam down this side and then another quarter of an inch down this side. So let's get this all lined up. It's always slightly interesting trying to show you this with a camera in the way, but you know, we like a challenge and I always rise to the occasion. So let's sew down there. I'm having to do this peering over the top of my camera so that you can see. If you can make it a scant quarter inch, that's just under a quarter inch, so much the better. So all the way down there. Okay, that's one side. I'm going to bring that up and turn it around. And we're going to do the other side. All right, exactly the same as we did before. So all the way down there. Get to the end. So you'll end up with some tram lines going down the middle. So let me get back to my cutting table and show you what to do as the final bit. Okay, here we are then. I'm going to take my pins out because I don't need those anymore. And then just like we did on the other side, we're going to cut down that centre line from corner to corner, exactly on that line. Okay, take that away. And now, as if by magic, when you open it up, you have therefore got two sets of quarter square triangles. And then all you do is just press that to one side. It doesn't matter which side at this stage. Is that not the easiest way of doing quarter square triangles? Yeah, I can hear you saying, so easy. So I'm going to put those to one side. I promised I would show you how to make the this green version here. So I've got the brown and the yellow, or the orange and the yellow on one side, and then I've got some greens on the other side. So let's just say your quilt pattern meant that you needed different colours here. So you would start off in the same way, but this time I would make one of those half square triangle blocks. I'm a bit reticent to call them exact half square triangles because although they are half square triangles, they're not the same measurements, but go with me. So we need one square or one set of triangles with your one colour combination in, so my orange and my yellow in this case, and then another one with, in this case, my greens. But bear in mind that we have to start off with two squares. Do you remember when we made these ones? We had one square of the orange and one square of the yellow, and that gave us two half square triangle blocks, and we ended up with two of these little blocks. So the same thing when you're going to be cutting these squares out, you are still going to need to cut one square of your orange and one square of your yellow, and when you sew those together you'll end up with two of these triangular blocks, and it's the same thing with your greens, so you'll have another set sitting over off stage left. So we're going to do exactly the same thing here, where we've got these two blocks, and it depends which way round you want the colours to go, and you can check these. So if I put this one on top of the other, it doesn't matter which way round you put, so it could be that way or it could be that way, that's fine, but it just depends on your pattern as to which way round you want it. So you can see here, if I put this green block on top of my orange, if I just fold it back, you can see how that'll end up colour-wise. And if you look at my little reference block here that I made earlier, you can see that that is not the same as this one here. So if I think, oh, that's a bit wrong, then I turn it round so that my light green in this instance is on top. Fold it back. Does that look the same as that one? Yes, it does. So that's all you need to do. So we're treating it exactly the same way. There is no different. I'm going to match that centre seam there. I'm going to pin it in place, and we're going to draw a line down the middle. Sew each side, cut it in half, and Bob will be your uncle. If this video has been helpful to you, please do like and subscribe, because it helps this channel reach more beginner quilters just like you and gets them the help that they need too. So I will look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.